It is hard to argue that anyone has had a more spectacular coaching career than John Herrington. After winning a record 13 state football championships and a record 435 games while coaching at Farmington Hills Harrison, it is easy to say that Herrington is a living legend in the realm of high school sports. His fellow coaches know that as well. The Oakland Activities Association held its annual media day on Friday, and nearly every coach in the room took time to say some kind words to Herrington, highlighting greatness on and off the gridiron. Rival coaches called him a class act, a mentor and, simply, a great guy. None of them are wrong. It got a little embarrassing, Herrington said with a grin. I appreciate all of the kind things they said. I guess after 56 years, you get a little sugar, you know. However, there was nothing sugar-coated about any of the remarks said. Despite having the spotlight to talk about their respective teams, coaches took the time to recognize a formidable opponent. Herrington has been hospitable to any coach willing to ask for help, even inviting them to his practices. Herrington goes above and beyond. That is why so many are disappointed that Herrington is entering his final season as head coach. It is not by choice either. In fact, Herrington doesn't have many options. At the end of the school year, Harrison will be closing its doors for good as students will be redistributed to Farmington High School and North Farmington High School. Of course, Herrington could try and pick up his roots and move elsewhere. However, the 77-year-old coach is fittingly choosing to end his career at the school he started coaching varsity football at in 1970. After coming over from the North Farmington JV program to take the job, Herrington has remained the one and only head coach in the history of the Harrison football program. Now, knowing the end is looming, it is a harsh reality for Herrington to handle. How could it not be? It's tough on me, I won't lie, Herrington said. But in front of my players and stuff, it's just business as usual. It'll be very tough when it all comes to an end. It's all I've ever done since I was 21 years old at North Farmington. I don't know what I'll do after this. Harrison is Herrington's life. He can recall the day he was present for the first brick being laid. He was on the building committee after all. He had the same classroom year after year. Herrington and his wife, Fran, started up the Boosters program at the school. After Fran passed away in 2001 after a fight against liver cancer, the community rallied around Herrington and his family. If our school wasn't closing, I don't know how long I'd go, you know, Herrington said last fall. While navigating through the years, Herrington has survived many of the highs and lows, mostly highs, honestly, and has learned some valuable coaching lessons along the way. First of all, you have to keep a level head about things. When you win, you're never as good as you think you are, Herrington said. When you lose, you're never as bad as you think you are. Herrington remembers all three of his losing seasons since 1972, all of which came within just 2 years before another one of his record 18 state championship game appearances. I remember we were 4-5 and people would say, well, I think football has kind of passed coach by, Herrington said. Then I think we won 4 straight state championships. After going 4-5 in 1992, Harrison did not actually win 4 straight. In fact, Harrison went to the state championship game 8 out of the next 9 years, winning 7 of them. It just goes to show that when you win as much as Herrington has, it's easier to remember the losing seasons more than winning ones. Next lesson Herrington learned is about believing in the process. As a coach, Herrington found success over the years because he believed in what he taught on and off the field, no matter what. You might have players one year that don't really buy in, but I always tell the coaches that players are temporary and coaches are permanent, Herrington said. So, believe in what you're doing. Although Herrington created a winning program with a tight ship over the years, he was not fully stubborn toward changing some things. As the decades passed, Herrington learned to adapt to changing cultures among youth and did away with certain rules along the way. For example, players used to get in trouble if they wore earrings or let their hair grow long. Now, Herrington has tossed away such rules. Why? Times change. If you don't adapt some to the culture of your players, then you're not going to survive, Herrington said. That doesn't mean you let them get away with anything that's important. They still have to be on time and so on. Basically, Herrington got over some of his previous restrictions to let the kids be more like, well, kids. There are certain things that I wouldn't believe in but they do, Herrington said. Simple little things like spatting up your shoes or wearing different colored socks or something like that I used to be really on top of. Herrington adapted to changes in the game and culture over the years. Even after attendance plummeted at Harrison last year in expectation of the closing, Herrington led his boys to yet another Division III championship game, losing to a mighty Muskegon team, 28-10. This year, Harrison is down to less than 650 kids, about half of the amount that the school has usually housed in the past. However, with 15 lettermen returning, Herrington is ready to give it one final go. Yet, he can't help but worrying about his assistant coaches and all of his players who are not seniors this fall. Hopefully, one of my assistants will get a head job and some of the kids will go with him, Herrington said. Despite all of the wins, championships, records and blue-chip players over the years, Herrington admits that he hopes to be remembered for something else besides his resume. Like most of the lessons he's learned and shared over the years, his one wish is simple and meaningful. Just that I was always fair, Herrington said. You know, I just like being called coach. I'll miss that. In the end, that they have a good experience that make them into better people. Rest assured, no one is going to stop calling him coach. No one has done it better than Herrington.